Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kashif Move podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Amos. He is the founder of the Cusp.
Thank
Welcome to
you,
the
man.
show,
Actually,
Amos.
great to be here. Honored to be here as well.
Likewise, it's great. You and I have known each other for a very, very long time. It's like sometimes like I drop your name, like, oh, you need to go to the Cusp. And then some people are like, oh, I know the Cusp. I'm like, oh, yeah, same here. I was there from the beginning, guys. Okay, I'm an OG. Okay, I'm an OG. You may not see me at every networking event. Don't judge. But I've been there from the beginning. Okay. So if you guys don't know what the Cusp is, I've got it right here because I want to get this correct. So the Cusp is a not-for-profit social enterprise improving access for underrepresented talent in the creative media industries through talent development and talent sourcing. And the great thing about the Cusp is the way how I describe it, and it's the way Amos describes it, which I think is brilliant. It's really the ideal place for people who are creative and are introverts. And if you don't like walking up to random people in a crowded room and you don't know what to do, you don't have that at the Cusp. Everyone is intimate settings and it's very easy for you to talk to the next person next to you without any pressure, you know? And that's what I love about, the Cusp. So Amos, welcome to the show. How are
Yeah,
you
I'm
doing?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. It's been an interesting year, so to speak. Not just for me, but for everyone. But
Mhm,
at the end of the day, you got to take things a day at a time. So yeah, I'm super blessed and grateful.
mhm.
Yeah, and you did a great job at explaining what we do, man. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. As I said, guys, I'm an OG. So Amos and I go way back, way back, way back. So we met pre-COVID. He doesn't remember this, so I'm gonna remind him. So we met in 2019. I always remember we met at the very first ABFF London Film Festival. Now it's in partnership with Soul Fest, which is through We Are Parable and the British Blacklist. But this is when they collabed with Screen Nation Awards, which I don't know if it's around anymore. I've not
Mm,
seen it since COVID. And so that was the very first event. So fun fact, I had gone to ABFF in Miami that same year, earlier in that year. So then I remember tweeting it, and then Screen Nation were like, oh my gosh, we'll give you free passes if you just like be an influencer. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I went, and then that's when I met Amos. I met him through this amazing director called Ella Bennett. And yeah, and so we just started talking, and I just found out more about what Amos does. And yeah, and then I remember we had a meeting maybe like a month or so afterwards, and we were just seeing how we could work together, what I do, and bridging the gap. Because Amos, as long as I've known him, he's always been about bridging the gap between, creatives and
mm,
mainstream. And later on that year, that's when he launched the
yeah.
Cusp, and he's been going from strength to strength since then. Even thrived through COVID, guys. Okay, and so that's how we met. Do you
Yes.
remember now?
Yes, you got
How
amazing
that
memory,
was.
man. Yeah, I remember ABFF.
Mhm.
Oh, mate. And Ella Bennett as well, that
Mhm.
kind of connected us. I'm super grateful for Ella for doing it because, yeah, you talk about us going from strength to
Yeah,
strength to
yeah,
see you go
yeah,
from
yeah.
strength to strength as well. It's just been phenomenal to see you at the sideline. So, yeah, man, super glad that we were able to connect. Still are connected because we
Mhm.
know how, um, yeah, relationships
Yes.
can be within the industry. But yes, still are connected. Yeah.
Very, very true. I feel like that just says a lot about who we are as people. I feel like Amos,
One thing,
he, one thing I like about you, huh? You gonna say something? Oh, oh, okay. One thing I think was great about Amos is that like how some organizations, they just push like, okay, for people of color or black people or just women, whereas with Amos's platform, it's very inclusive. So when he says the word inclusive, it's really about being inclusive of everybody, regardless of background, regardless of whatever. It's really about bridging the gap, because if we take away all of the isms that are against us, we all kind of face the same thing. And that's what's really good. And I think sometimes, like people want to be, in certain spaces which they feel like can help them as well, but they might feel, okay, that's not for me. Whereas the Cusp has that place for that. So tell me about like why you wanted to create the Cusp and like the vision behind it. You know, how did you
Good
get
question.
started?
So I think the key thing for me, like going into the creative industry, if I take a step away from the cars, was an interesting and unorthodox approach. So I went to university, I did civil engineering. And whilst I was studying civil engineering, the main reason why there was an interest in anything creative is because I started to do artist management. So I used to take artists on tours. One of the most memorable tours that we did was with Fuse ODG, with one of the creators we were working with at the time. We did like a 10-city UK tour. We went to like the O2 academies. And at the time, like if you compare what I was doing, where it was like trying to build bridges from my coursework and then being backstage with people like Sean Paul, I was like, you could tell which one I would have preferred to have been doing. But nonetheless, right, I'm a kind of
Mhm.
person, if I start something, I must finish it. And so I graduated now with my civil engineering degree. As a Nigerian, I just like, okay, parents, here's the degree. So my mom and dad can say, oh, my son is an engineer, right? Theoretically, right? And so with that being said, I was like, I found this passion to support people within their own kind of creative endeavors. It started off by doing like events. And this was a totally different business that I set up at the time. And it was like trying to bridge the gap between the industry and the community. Because as you can imagine, being from Southeast London, if someone sees that you're working with a talent and you're taking them on tours like this, they're like, you know what, can you support me as well? But I was the kind of person where I was like, I pride myself on quality, not quantity. And if I say I'm going to support you, I want to do it well. But if I can't do it and I don't want to say no to you, how can I create another opportunity for you to really show people your skill set? And so this is where we came up with an event called the Industry Insider. We started off with music because at the time we were working with musicians. And then people that came to that event said, can you do one on fashion? I was like, I know nothing about fashion. Well, let me see if I can join the dots. We did one on fashion, and people that we showcased that event, they got signed to ASOS Marketplace as a brand. And I was like, okay, pretty
Wow.
decent. And then
Mm.
photographers that were taking pictures at the event for us, they were like, you know what would be great if you did something on film and TV. And Kishi, if you can imagine what I said, I was like, I know nothing about film and TV, but let me see if I can try and join the dots. So we did an event on film and TV.
Mhm.
Sorry about background noise. We went on film and TV. And then at that event is where we screened actually Ella. So we screened her work at the event. And one of the panelists was a creative director at a company called 11 Film, by a guy, his name Joel Wilson. Lovely, lovely guy. And when we screened Ella's work, he was like, oh, is Ella signed? Come to find out she wasn't signed at the time. I think she was fresh out of university. And then he was like, okay, cool. We'll get her signed. Lo and behold, she was signed to United Agents off the back of that opportunity. And so one thing I started to realize is, okay, I'm hosting these events and connecting the dots with people, and people are progressing within their careers as because of it. And so as time went on, tried to make a business out of it. I was working part time. As I said, I already graduated by this point, and I was also working part time at Waitrose. I wanted to be done with Waitrose, and so I wanted a full time career. And I was still a novice. I'll be honest. Like when it came to business, so I was making mistakes. I didn't really have any advisors or mentors. But one thing I did want to take away from that experience is like, what did I love? And I love the branding and marketing side of things. And so that's how the idea of trying to look for a career within marketing came about. And one thing I did take away from my degree, because it wasn't always to tell, is that within civil engineering and making buildings, bridges, and all of that stuff, one of the key things that you learn is that things work in patterns. There's beginning, middle, and end. So if that's how things are built, and that's how things are made, how about I take that same approach with the marketing world? So what's at the beginning of the marketing funnel? What's in the middle? And what's at the end? And I want to get exposure to each one of these different things. And so I did. I worked at a market research company, worked at a marketing strategy company, and then ended up working and doing marketing campaigns at Uber. But even though I pursue this career, there's still a pull to support creative talent in these spaces. And a
Mhm.
friend of mine said, Amos, I know you stopped doing the previous business, but like it was making such a massive impact. See if you can do something whilst you're not working, right? So as the age old saying is 9 to 5, what can you do between the 5 to 9? And I was like, okay, if I'm doing it by myself to start off, what is manageable? Smaller rooms, smaller groups. What is the thing that I learned from my last business that I can apply to this one? And one of the things that I learned, as you kindly mentioned, is that introverted element. Right? We were doing an event for like a university, and there was 100+ people in the room, and people come over to me afterwards and ask some great questions. And I'll ask them, why didn't you ask that during the event? It's like, yeah, there's too many people. I'm like, okay, cool. Now the industry specialist is talking
Mhm.
to people. There's about like 10 people in the queue, but like just wait to chat to them. It's like, "Oh, there's too many people and they probably won't want to hear what I have to say." I'm like, hmm, okay, there's an opportunity there. Maybe if there was less people in the space, it
Mhm.
would feel less intimidating. And on top of that, maybe even also the industry specialists will remember everyone in the room, right? And then that way we can build more
Mhm.
authentic
Mhm.
relationships and networks within the industry that can help people proceed. And so long story short, that's how I ended up building out the Cusp, focusing in on the diverse groups, helping them to get ahead within the industry, but then also making sure that the rooms are small and intimate, not only so it's easier for me to manage like 5 people than it is to manage 100 people, but then also to make sure that everyone in the room felt seen,
Mhm.
heard, and can be supported. So our first ever event we did was with
Mhm.
Joel again, from 11 Films. It was like, Amos, I believe in what you're doing, so let's try something out. So we did a tester one with him, and then we did, I think it was 5 people came into that room, and in order to come into that room, they had to submit their initial scripts. Right? Someone that you may, I think we both know, that was in that room. It was her first time ever doing a script. Was Jessica McGay, and she submitted. Right,
Mhm.
it got reviewed. He said, "I loved your work." It's like he even said, "Amos, where'd you find these people from?" I was like, "Couldn't tell you that." From that, what had happened is that he had then given 2 people in that room 2-week work experience at his organization. Jessica was one of them, and then she stayed there for a longer period of time. And then, as we both know, Jessica has gone on to do
Mhm.
amazing things. And I think, right, hopefully she creates
Yeah.
this. But I think from that script that she initially wrote or something that she developed later, it got picked up by the amazing folks at DBK Studios, Kobe, and it featured on Sky Arts. So it just
Mhm.
shows like when you create these smaller rooms for people to be seen, there's so much potential
Mhm.
that can kind of, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's hopefully answers your question. That's how it
Mhm.
kind of started.
No, it does. It does. I remember you saying this to me as well. Like you going from the music industry to then working in advertising and marketing. Because I remember we had a lot of conversations
Mhm.
about that fun
Mhm.
industry, um, and just building the platform of the cusp. And I know like there's so many people like it's countless. And like, how would you say that you've been able to develop your brand into being this full-time business that you're able to work on? Because there's a lot of people out there who, have loads of fun organizations that they want to do, but you've actually been able to like build something substantial from this and actually create opportunities for people. You're even at the point where you have like a talent pool where people can reach out to you to be able to reach out to your platform to get, crew for their projects and stuff like that. And I like that, the cusp doesn't just focus on film and TV, but fashion and the full scope of the media industry. So like what
Yeah,
advice would you give?
great question. I think one of the things that I would say that I learned from working in marketing and advertising is the power of just listening. Because sometimes like you can have an idea and you think this is the best idea and you want to run out and just develop it. But then when you actually listen to what people actually need and actually see what they need as well, then you're able to build something that addresses that problem. Like a lot of people can say, "I actually want this," and then when you build the
Mhm.
thing, no one comes. But it's like, but you said this is what you wanted. So
Yeah.
there's a measure of like, okay, hearing what people are saying and then actually seeing what they're actually doing. Because what they're actually doing is what you need to kind of draw
Mhm.
towards, and what they say is what you use as that validation, so to speak. And so for us, it's been a case of like, okay, people are
Mhm.
saying, like before I even started the cusp, right, and wanted to go full time, I had a conversation with like even Ella and a few other creatives as well. I'm like, what are the challenges that you guys are facing right now
Mhm.
when it comes to one key thing, access? Because that's what the Cusp focus. Whenever I tell anyone about the
Mhm.
Cusp, I say
Yeah.
Cusp equals one word. If you can't remember the whole like pitch that I give, the Cusp equals access, right? And
Mhm.
what are the access problems that you're facing?
Mhm.
And then when they were talking and I was recording what people were saying, it came down to those three key pillars: education and insight. They don't have
Mhm.
networks or they don't have access to job opportunities. And so that's what I
Mhm.
wanted to then build out as an organization. And then from there, it's basically deep diving and understanding, okay, cool, where are people spending money and when people aren't spending money, right? And
Mhm.
I know this industry is tough, right? And there's a high level of nepotism within it, which is why like you tend to see a lot of homogenous looking teams, right? Where they have that leg up, where they're from a specific class in society, they can afford to do like work for
Yeah.
free, and someone else is paying away for them, right? But if you don't have that, you lose out. And so for us, is being able to understand, okay, what are those kind of challenges and who do we do then as a business? Because it is a business, even though it's a not for profit, it's a business because again, my time is not come free, right? And the people that work with us, they just do it for free. They need to live
Mhm.
and eat and actually get to the locations as well. Um, who do we charge,
Yeah.
right? And if the community that we often
Mhm.
support haven't got the most money and we don't want to charge them, so we make it a lot more accessible for them to enter the industry. People that ideally should pay for things with bigger employers because they're looking for their talent. They want this fresh talent and
Mhm.
they also want to give back. And so
Mhm.
being able to build a model that enables that to happen is what essentially I set to do. And slowly but surely, we've got to the stage whereby it's allowed us to kind of work with amazing brands and organizations today, and hopefully we want to expand
Mhm.
across different realms as well. So yeah.
So, guys, we're back. I'm breaking the fourth wall. As you can see, Amos is in a different location. We had some technical difficulties. So, yeah, welcome to the insights of like how things can never go to plan. But over here at the Kashif Booth podcast, you guys know that I don't sugarcoat anything. So anyway, so back to what we were saying. So Amos had just shared about what it's like, building a business, especially from you doing like a networking business or just creating opportunities for people in the creative industry. And I felt like he provided a lot of great insights into that because it's not an easy thing to do. I think there's a lot of people who start off, doing loads of events and they want it to be something great, but yet they are kind of stuck in this limbo place. I was a part of an organization that was going to be championing black filmmakers, and we kind of, I wouldn't say we clash on ideas, but it's like the person who was like the head of it didn't
Mhm.
really have a good manifesto for what she wanted the brand to be, right?
Mm.
And I think because it was like created at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, she kind of just assumed, well, it's black, everyone will be supportive. But no, you need to do more than just having your USP of it being black. And I remember like doing a video about this because I'm a content creator and I do lots of commentary nowadays. And
Mhm.
I just did a video about that because it's annoying when black people feel like, okay, that is only your USP, when really there has to be more in it when creating a business. And that's why I always give you your props with the Cusp, because your USP is talking about underrepresented groups, but it doesn't like single out anybody else. Anybody can literally be a part of your community because you're just literally bridging the gap. At the end of the day, we all want to get to the end goal, regardless of any isms we have, like I've said before.
Sure.
So, Amos, you're also an introvert, right? So how have you been able to navigate this space? Because you've built such a great platform, but you're also reserved. Okay. So, like, how and what tips would you give to other people who are like yourself,
Mhm.
but want to be where you are?
Absolutely. I think yeah, it's humbling when people say that because sometimes when you're in it, you feel like you're not where you want to be, and you feel like, you know what, should I actually just like drop this and just focus on just getting a full-time job? Like it is real. But
Yeah. Yeah.
to hear what you're saying, encourages me. And I'll be honest, in terms of how I've navigated the space, it's yeah. I would call myself like an ambivert, so like a mixture of like a introvert extrovert. Like I'm extroverted when I'm amongst introverts. If no one wants to speak, I just like to kind of break the ice and make everyone feel comfortable. And then I'm an introvert amongst extroverts. So I just, again, the key thing, the commonality there, I just want to make people around me feel comfortable so they can feel authentic. And I think what's
Mhm,
helped me in terms of navigating the space is, I'll be honest, like when people talk about like warm introductions, that it's not understated. Like they help and they go a long way. But to your point, when you're talking about, you're kindly sharing about what you were trying to do with another organization, I think the key thing is understanding that the reason why people are happy and comfortable doing warm introductions is because not only do they believe in the vision, but they feel connected to it to an extent. Like some people want to do good, but on a
mhm,
day-to-day basis, when you've got bills to pay, kids to
mhm,
feed,
mhm,
all of that kind of stuff, it's like, what time in your day can you offer towards doing good? And if you
mhm,
can contribute towards someone else's mission, then that's that element of good that you're able to put into the world. And I feel like
mhm,
we're not for profit, and our purpose is, how can we support those that are unseen to be seen, right? It enables them to say, you know what, I want to help in a small way that I can and do good. Let me set up an introduction. And so it can
mhm,
start off with one person, and then, like, we've had a fruitful conversation. It may not be the right time for me, but I know someone that could potentially contribute to your mission. So speak to that person,
mhm,
and then so on
mhm,
and so forth. And so I think it's one of those ones where it's like building that relationship, an authentic relationship with those individuals, which you do very well. Like I always commend you when we're in your space, when we're in spaces together, because
mhm,
like when we do chat, I'm like, should I set up an intro here? He's like, nah, man, I'm all right, man. I don't feel like I need an intro. It's like, but then on other days, it's like, yeah, I'm open to it. Like whoever you feel
mhm,
like I should connect with, I should connect with, and that's a blessing. And so
mhm,
I think it's great to just be your authentic self, and people see that, because I
mhm,
think it's tough being in the industry that we're in, because again, we talk about nepotism, we talk about also people not putting their authentic foot forward. And so
mhm,
there's this element of, yeah, like this is who I am as
mhm,
an individual. And then one day they're like this, but then when you see them on
mhm,
another day, it's like, you got so ice cold. Like what's happened between
mm,
now and the last networking event that I was at? And so I think the more authentic relationships that you can build with people, be genuinely yourself, and also
mhm,
sometimes meet people where they're at is important, because that's another thing. We feel like sometimes people need to meet us where we're at, and that can be tough if no one's ever been into that space before. So
yeah,
there's a level of flexibility, humility that's required, and most importantly, authenticity. And that's what's helped us to kind of build
mhm.
those relationships in the industry. And by no means will every intro work out. Like, and that's a fact.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
every single intro will work out. Like, and that's why,
mhm,
like, saying your expectations to a perspective of, in this call or on this in this coffee that we have, I'm just going to be my real self, and I'm also going to listen as much as
mhm,
possible. And this kind of, and the whole point of listening comes to the point that you mentioned regarding the other business again. Sorry to always bring it up, if he doesn't bring up
yeah.
like scars, but ultimately, the reason why I
Mhm,
say this is because when we were setting up our business, we made sure to listen to people and then see the actions that they were taking. And then more
mhm,
often than not, when you're building a business, it's a case of, okay, cool, I know why I want to do this because I'm passionate about this. But at the end of the day, will this generate revenue to enable us to excel? So, like for us as a not for profit, the way not for profits generally work is that 85% of the money, or even 90% of the money that you get to run the organization, comes from grants, right? So you
yeah,
apply for grants and then you get that money, right?
mhm,
It goes even further. I'll go on to that, Kashif. Like, so that's 90%. And then you got 10% that could potentially come from like a service that you deliver, right? But then
mhm,
it goes even further, because if you're a not for profit social enterprise, you're coming up against charities that are going for the same grant. They're more strenuous in terms of the processes that they have to have, the
yeah,
paperwork they have to fill out. And so if a
mhm,
grant is, generally speaking, from my perspective, giving out money, they'll more likely give it to a charity than a not-for-profit, because they feel like your governance is stronger, so to speak. And so
mm,
when you're coming up against that, as well as other people that are applying for the same grants, it's like the pool of grants that you can access slowly tightens. And so for us
Uh-huh.
as an organization, to be honest, like I can't tell you a grant from the top of my head beyond, I would say one that was through a program that I was on, that in the last 6 years, we done the whole process and we successfully got a grant. Like you get to the final
Mm,
5, 10, they reject you. And it got
mm,
to a point whereby, like, even earlier this year, I'll be honest, like I got super emotional. Like I was tearing up. I was like, all of this stuff that we're doing, we're showing proof that's in the pudding. We're seeing amazing
mm,
people like yourself, like other people within the community doing great things. We're applying for these grants to do more and we're getting rejected. And then you start to realize that
mhm,
there's like a specific language that you need to speak. You need to connect with people behind closed doors that are kind of leading some of these grants. And so it's like there's so many unsaid things that you need to do. And so why I bring that up is that we naturally have been forced to then build a model that
mhm,
says, you know what, instead of the
mm,
90% being the grants, maybe the 90% needs to be a service that we deliver. And so, like, whether
mm,
that's talent sourcing, whether that is collaborating and partnering with universities to help them deliver curated events that are accessible for introverts and open to extroverts as well. And so that's the approach that needs to be taken when it comes to these things, to think broader than just, okay, this is the market, so people will jump and
mm,
support what you're doing. Because again, there's 101 things that people are focusing on in their day, and more often than not, it's themselves, not you, that they're focusing on. So how can you provide value to what
mhm,
they are doing on a day-to-day basis, that makes ideally their life easier, so that you can actually essentially push your mission forward. So
mhm,
yeah.
mhm. I love that. I love that. You really spoke on the power of networking across,
Mhm.
because like people's goal is, okay, I need to get to the CEO of whatever. I need to get the exec producers, but it's like networking across will lead you to the executive producer and the CEO because of
Yeah.
word of mouth and, oh, this person's good, this person's good. And then that's how it travels. And you
Sure.
really stating the business model of why the cost works and why you keep pushing is what people need to understand. And I'm so happy you shared that, because not a lot of people realize all the intricacies of what goes into it. You
Mhm.
all may have a great idea,
Mhm.
but there's only like a certain amount of funding pot that you're going to be able to get, and as a non-profit organization, it's different. Some people will throw out things, oh, well, just throw a gala. Gala costs money.
Definitely, man.
Okay. Like I've done events management, so I've like
Mhm.
produced events, right, on the floor. That shit costs money. Okay. You need to have connections to be able to auction off things for you to then get the money. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need to have access to these top people and have all of these meetings with banks and industry
Mhm.
figures, like so many people who have this money to give away. That's how you're able
Mhm.
to set it up. So I love that you did that. And as a fellow ambivert myself, I completely understand
Mhm.
that. And I think the great thing about all of these, these little personality types that people love to kind of box themselves in, people don't realize how like they kind of go ebbs and flows as well. Like I'm around a few, like some of the closest people in my life are natural extroverts. And when I say
Mhm.
natural extroverts, they walk into a room and naturally everyone's drawn to them. They just take up
Yeah.
attention, they don't go out seeking it. But
Mhm.
people don't understand that, like, to me, I can spot a fake extrovert from a mile away, the one that who's purposely trying to act like they're big and whatever, when really they're the most insecure people. And that's the odd thing about trust me, I've been around a lot of them. So, and that's the difference of like not putting yourself in a box, but just understanding and learning to like love yourself as to who you are so that you're able to get in a position as to where you want to be. Cause like when I first started in the industry as a runner, I always remember one guy, lovely guy, but he was telling me, okay, to get ahead, what you should do is go up to all of like the execs and the producers and say, oh, ask them for a cup of coffee. I was like, I'm not doing that. First of all, I I don't drink tea or coffee, yeah. So first of all, there was times I got slated for making a bad cup of coffee. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. A cafetiere, I didn't know what that was until I was 22. I was like, what am I doing here? So so like
Goodness gracious.
I was like, I'm not doing that. Okay. And then I just knew that I bonded with the right people. I bonded with the right office managers. I bonded with the right production managers. So people who liked me, that's how I got
Yes.
jobs. Now, people who have bigger personalities, they probably have had a lot more jobs than I have because more people like them. But again, it's just the game you play. And I think me pushing myself and doing it independently, that's
Mm,
what helped bridge the gap for myself. And what I mean by that
yeah.
is that like I was the writer, the producer, the director, the editor. So I was doing everything. So it's not like, okay, they're coming up on set. Everybody's here for me. That
Yeah.
I wrote the project. So who am I to be shy in a corner and just being like, hi, so this is my friend Joe. I have a friend called Joe, I'm
Mm.
just saying. And like, okay, they're gonna be my mouthpiece. No, you need to talk. You need to be that person. They're coming to you. And so it just helped me be able to like enter into those spaces and be my full self. So that is that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's times where I'm like, I'm just here for the vibes. Okay.
Mm.
I'm not trying to like, I don't want to be talking to I'm not in the mood or I don't have
Mhm.
that in me. Like I'm naturally just kind of by myself and that's it. And, there's a thing that Amos does as well. He likes to set people up, right, guys? So this was like 2023. So he emailed me and was like, "Oh, I want to book you for masterclass." I was like, "Sure." This was for the film school Met Life. Yeah, what is it? Met Film School, right? In
Yes,
Ealing.
I'm sorry.
So I woke up. I'm like, "Oh, hey, Amos, I'm here." He's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be in a few minutes." And then we go to sign in. So I was like, "Oh, so where's the rest?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just you." I was like, "Come again?" Now, mind you, it's fine because like I can do public speaking and it was fine. And it's fine, like it's fine. And I think Amos likes to do that with people because he's like, well, if they feel like, oh, they're going to be by themselves, they may say no. But if you're thrown in that
Mm.
situation, what are you going to do? Go? Like, no. Some would.
Yeah,
So that's a risky game you're playing.
I am.
Um,
Yeah. I think life
yeah,
is about
you
risk. Life is about risk, to be perfectly
yeah,
honest.
yeah. And it
And they
paid
loved
off.
it. And they loved
Mm.
it. They loved the masterclass. It's fantastic. Like the students
Uh-huh.
took a lot away from your experience, and the fact that I knew that you would be great for it, Kashif, is because of one, your unfiltered approach, and you tell people what they need to hear. Whereas there's some people that
Uh-huh.
tend to say what other people say, which tends to be quite cliche. You hit the nail on the
Uh-huh.
head, and like your experience speaks for itself. You've been able to get off your own back, do your own work, as well as work in the advertising and creative space, and then also put together amazing pieces for other like big broadcasters as well. So I think like yeah, it works out. But yeah, you're all right. I have to bide my time. Be very, very
Yeah.
cautious. Pick.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because sometimes, like, I never know, how people are taking it and what I
Mm,
say. I think the reason why I am the way I am when I
mm,
do speak about the industry is because me going to industry panels for years and
yeah.
I'm just sitting there like, you lot are talking crap. Like, what is this? Like, okay, send that email. We're gonna be very busy,
Yeah.
but make sure you just I'm just like, okay.
Just
They're
keep
like, oh,
pounding it.
you have
Keep
to have good
pounding,
work
yeah, yeah.
ethic. You've got to work hard. You got to persevere,
Yeah,
because I had the same
yeah,
shit told to me when I was at advertising. Oh, you have to be
mm,
proactive. Why am I being proactive when I'm in a job that I'm being paid for and you as my manager are supposed to give me stuff to do? So why am I being proactive in the job if I'm just not working for four
mm,
months? But that's a whole nother
mm,
conversation. Okay. So like,
for sure.
and so people don't give you the real. And I just feel like there's nothing wrong with being like unfiltered and saying what the real is about the industry.
Mm,
Because the industry is has an aloof around it and
yeah.
they want it to be like this includes like exclusive space and it's like, oh yeah, it's really private and but it's like that's not
Mm,
if we want the diversity it can't be as exclusive because like you
yeah,
said with nepotism and stuff then it's keeping the same people in there all the time, right? So
exactly.
you're not actually breaking the mold and I appreciate you well doing that, and I've taken on board what you said when you said that to me, how you said that I would just give the real. I just love that, it was like, okay, well, sure, I do it on every panel I'm on. um but I think it's good to do that and that's how you bridge the gap. Take away the
Exactly.
rose colored glasses and let people know this is how it is. It's still a job at the end of the day and you're going to deal with, you know, all different types of people, and the same people you meet out on the street, you're going to meet them
Mhm.
in the dream
In
industry
real,
that you want to work in, you
exactly.
know?
Absolutely. And
Exactly.
then I'll say, and add to that as well, like, so your viewers don't feel like
Uh-huh.
it's just masterclasses that I'm slapping people on, but like even within our events, it's just a case of
Uh-huh.
understanding the character of people. I think the whole
Uh-huh.
creative for introverts, accessible for extroverts piece is key because when you're able to build in a space whereby it feels like um exclusive but inclusive at the same time, you're able to have individual conversations with people and you're able to see
Uh-huh.
people's character. So I can chat to Kashif and know that okay, if I introduce Kashif to this person, he'll be able to navigate that conversation completely fine.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe the same thing with people like we know that like Serafina or Martine, for example. I know
Uh-huh.
there's certain people that I can introduce them to, and maybe even put them on panels and they'll completely cope. But then it could be other people like I say Joe, right? The same
Uh-huh.
name that you used. Like Joe may not be the same type of person that you guys are, but he likes
Uh-huh.
more intimate conversation. So at an event, I'm like, okay, Joe said to me earlier on that he's looking because he's a DOP, he's looking to work with a director. I just spoke to a director within the same space.
Uh-huh.
I say, Joe, do you
Uh-huh.
know X person? They're like, no. Okay, cool. Let me introduce you. That's a warm introduction. All of a
Uh-huh.
sudden, they're having conversations now and they're working on
Uh-huh.
stuff together. And that's happened within the spaces that we've created at the cast, whether it's through meetups, mixers, where people have come to the
Uh-huh.
event just to connect with other creatives. They still are
Uh-huh.
feeling introvert. And then we've been able to create that kind of bridge as you use the
Yeah.
term, to now
Uh-huh.
connect people. And then people come back and say, oh, Amos, you know that event? You know, I've worked now with this person and this is the work that we've been able to produce together. And I
Uh-huh.
think that is the way the industry operates. And in the spaces that we're in, particularly for diverse creatives, we need to do that more.
Uh-huh.
And so I feel like
Exactly.
that's where that whole networking across piece is super crucial because if the people
Uh-huh.
above are not giving you the funds that you need in order to make the money, we're creative. We're able to make things out of literally chalk and cheese, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
let us connect, create work,
Uh-huh.
put it on your CV, put it on your portfolio, put it within your credits, and then go back to them
Uh-huh.
and say, guys, this is what we've been able to do with licks and nothing. Just give us a little bit and see what we could do. And I think that's what we're
Exactly.
trying to.
Exactly. So obviously you've been doing this for such a long time. Where
Mhm.
do you think the state of the industry is? Because you navigate the general consensus of the creative space. Where do you
Yeah.
think it is at the moment? Because, you know, for the past couple of years, it's completely shifted, right?
Yes.
The reality is just that people keep saying, oh, it's in a weird place. It's not in a weird place. They have strategically decided to not commission projects at the same volume that they were before
Mhm.
2022, right? So it slowed things down and there's just lack of jobs. So in your area of expertise of to what you're building, where do you feel like the state of the industry is? And where do you see it moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think I'll talk about it from a general sense, not just like film and TV, but then just thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it from just a creative standpoint. I think the introduction of AI has made people quite nervous, of course, in terms of like it taking roles and um, doing creative jobs. I think the mentality should be around it being a creative partner more than anything else, right? Because again, AI still needs human interaction. It still needs prompts in order
Uh-huh.
to make it as it stands anyway. And so, how can we leverage that? Right? How can we take that understanding and apply it to our work to make us more accessible and to the industry when it comes to skill set? So, like in the near future, you're going to have AI-driven graphic designers or AI
Uh-huh.
um, AI familiar directors, all of these kind of different terms that are still TBC in terms of what they title them, but being able to leverage the tools that are available in order to support. And I think the reason why there's not a lot of jobs is because, again, there's not a lot of money in circulation as it was before. People cutting back budgets because they're still trying to figure out, okay, what's happening next? I think
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
society goes through these kind of 20-year kind of turning points, right? And there's a book called The Fourth Turning. I believe that's what it's called. And it basically breaks down everything that I'm trying to explain in a horrible way. But a lot better. Like it's like
Mhm.
it goes in 8-year periods, it has 20-year blocks, and there's shifts. And so like
Mhm.
imagine the shift when the dot-com boom was. It's like, wow, like
Mm.
even when the dot-com boom happened, right? Millennium, right? 2000, they said everything was going to shut down. Like no one knew what was going to happen next. And lo and behold, come midnight, everyone is still alive. And so with that being said, we're going through that shift at this present moment of time, and people are just trying to acclimatize towards it. They're trying to understand, okay, what does this mean for me and how can I
Yeah.
navigate it? And my recommendation for people is this approach of always be willing to learn new things, right?
Mm.
There was a traditional way of doing things. You can still adopt that and still build those kind of skills so you have that in your arsenal. But then this new era where we're leveraging tech, how can you leverage that for yourself to be again more employable? Right now, it seems like
Mhm.
there's a reduction of jobs because of again tech, right? And I like to
Mhm.
use like other industries to
Mhm.
kind of provide a little bit of guidance as to what we can do in the creative industry. Because I'll be honest, like I've worked in tech and within the creative industry, even when you look at just solely recruitment, right? We're a couple years behind. I'll be honest. Like,
Mm.
and you look at a company, a great example. There's a company called Klarna. Like their CEO, right? Because of AI, said, you know what? We're going to make all of our customer service AI, right? So customers will speak with AI, chatbots, tools, all of that kind of stuff. A year or so later, he was like, "Yeah, I made a big mistake. We need humans in order to make things happen."
Mm.
Because he made a massive loss. And so, with that being
Right.
said, like people are still trying to sample and see, okay, how can we navigate the space? And it's the same thing with the creative industry. We're just trying to see where we can
Mhm.
put our foot in and see where there's potential drowning, or actually we can swim in this area, to use that as a metaphor. So I would say that's happening a lot more. I think another thing that's
Okay.
shifting in our industry is community. Like it's community everywhere, right? I think
Mhm.
particularly after COVID, right? I think there's been like this digital fatigue where everyone was like, oh, let's do everything online, all of that kind of stuff. People
Mm.
want real life, like connections. And we've been seeing at the Cusp that are so many other like organizations popping up and individuals popping up as well, setting up their
Mhm.
own kind of creative collectives. And that's beautiful and that's necessary
Mhm.
because my belief system is no one organization, two or three organizations can solve the issues that the industry faces when it comes to network, when it comes to access to opportunities and training,
Mhm.
all of that kind of stuff. Because if it was, those people won't sleep, right? And it'll be super difficult for them to do any work because no one's
Yeah. Yeah.
funded. Do you hear me? So
Mhm. Mhm.
ultimately, I see more and more collectives being built up and people connecting more from a human level to see how they can collaborate more. And I think what we're trying to do on our end to facilitate more of that is to provide like some sort of like centralized area where you can find all of
Mhm.
these different groups, right? And that's where we built now the Cusp Hub. Like I don't have enough stuff to do already, but I decided to
Mhm.
create a tech platform to enable industry to connect with talent seamlessly. And instead of it being a case whereby you come and you say, "Oh, Amos, the Cusp guys, like who are the best people to connect with, and who is great for this job?" It's like they're all
Mhm.
go through yourself and look at them, but then also with the talent themselves, let them also realize that their skill set is broad, right? So you can study photography or filmmaking at university and want to
Mhm.
go into the film industry, but your skill set could also be very valuable as you're living proof of it within advertising and
Mhm.
marketing.
Mhm.
If no
Exactly.
one is telling you this, right?
Mhm.
No one is informing you because you don't have access to mentors, which is super important, I believe, for anyone
Mhm.
in any kind of industry. Then
Mhm.
it's like, you know what, you're stuck. And then in order to make ends meet, you go into a career pathway that helps you pay the bills, but doesn't leave you fulfilled. And so for us, it's like, if that is happening and it's happening a lot faster with underrepresented groups just because of the lack of access that they have, what
Yeah.
happens is we end up in an industry whereby it just looks like a certain group, a certain demographic,
Mhm.
and it doesn't
Yeah.
reflect from real society because even though in the UK, because we're talking about UK, we'll be considered as an ethnic minority, we're a global majority.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
are majority. And as
Mhm.
these organizations are creating content and work that are trying to connect, right, with people en masse so they can generate the income that they can make their money back and maybe make a profit. It
Mm-hmm.
only makes sense for you to have people around the table that understand the global majority, that
Exactly.
can connect with them, that can
Mm-hmm.
write stories that enable them to feel like, you know what, I want to engage in this. And it'll
Mm-hmm.
only be better for you as a business from a production sense with your bottom line, right? It increases your bottom line because that's
Exactly.
what these folks are doing. They want to tell great stories, but they want to
Yeah.
make money. So make the right
Exactly.
decision with who you bring in. And with that also being said, I will also say, and I'm a big advocate of this, especially with the cast. And I feel like that's why so many people that have joined the cast have been seeing success is that it's not a quota thing for us. Like, great, come in because
Mm-hmm.
you're from the groups that we serve. But are you putting in the work? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing the work? Are you doing the homework? Are you trying to
Yeah.
connect? And if you're trying and you have no breakthrough, then of course we can support with a warmer introduction. But ultimately speaking, like in order to have a seat at the table, need to be able to say I deserve this seat at this table because I'm good and better than the people that are around the table
Mm-hmm.
currently. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing that I want to shift. And hopefully there is a small shift happening within the industry in terms of perception of diverse talent, where it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing a good thing, and I'm helping
Mm-hmm.
someone that's in need. No, it's like, no, you need this
Yeah.
person. You now have access
Mm-hmm.
to them. Now develop great work together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a call out to our community to make sure that cool. If you want to be in those spaces, make sure you're doing great work. Great work.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause you don't want to give
Yeah.
them any shadow of a doubt that you deserve that spot. I remember growing up, I don't know if you have it, but it's definitely happened being a Nigerian in a household. They've always told me like, you know what, to be able to get like half of what they get, you have to do double the amount, if not triple the amount of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that saying. Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it's like it's unfair, right? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
not equitable. But what it does for us in the long term is that our minimum is some people's ceiling. Our minimum is some people's ceiling. And so with that,
Yeah.
it gives us an opportunity to say, okay, if we push ourselves further, imagine how much more we can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how much more people we can impact. And I think once we're able to navigate those spaces and by the grace of God get the funds that we we,
Mm-hmm.
we get from it, we need to start collaborating and working together. Because I think particularly in the UK and just like taking a leaf out of your book, a page out of your book, sorry, Kashif, in terms of being
Mm-hmm.
authentic here and transparent and just blunt. There's too much crabs in the barrel mentality within the UK, man.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
it feels like it stops so much progress for
Mm-hmm.
underrepresented and underserved communities from really excelling in the
Mm-hmm.
space. And so I feel like if we showcase our talent and we know what we're great at doing and we collaborate more
Mm-hmm.
and we just build together, we get to where we want to get to, hopefully by the grace of God faster. So um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like I've rambled on a little bit, but hopefully that answers the question.
No, it did. And I think that's good because you're talking about the space of the industry, but also sharing how it can change and what people need to do to change, because for example, I've recently started like a master's degree, which is like an
Amazing.
international film production. And so one
Mhm,
of the modules is about AI filmmaking. And it's like,
mhm.
okay, we can cuss AI and be upset. But the
Exactly.
reality is, what people fail to realize is that after the strikes in 2023, they still had to come to some sort of common ground
Mm,
of including AI. Like, it is what
mm,
it is. Like, these
mhm.
companies are still going to be pushing for that. So there's no point me trying to run away from it. It's about seeing how I can benefit from it because it's going to get bigger regardless if we
Yeah.
like it or not. So that's what we have to do. You have to move with the times. 20 years ago, nobody thought that
Yeah.
digital media would be where it is now. What do you mean
Well,
streaming? What?
exactly.
That's not going to last.
Exactly.
That's one of the big that's the biggest thing out here. However, I love how there has been a transition to more the traditional films going into the cinema and still doing well. So
Exa
now there's literally a really good mix of what you can find online and what you can still people will still go out and see and paid their money, to go watch in the movies. So
Exactly.
it's interesting, and I just think that with doing what you said, we just hopefully the the industry moves forward.
Yeah.
So what is next for the Cusp? Like, what have you got coming up? Like, what's new? Where can people find you as well?
Mhm. Good question. So I'll try to answer your question and not ramble. So ultimately, where you can find us is on Instagram, we're on TikTok. So at um, the underscore KUSP. I think it's KUSP on TikTok. You can check out our website, thecusp.co.uk. Still being a not-for-profit, and a key thing for us as a not-for-profit is to expand. So we are quite London centric, but we have been making and planting seeds in new regions. So in 2023, we worked with the film and TV charity. We went to Manchester, Brighton, and Bristol, and we did like a Future Creatives tour. We had people from like Channel 4 to independent producers to people from Sky speaking on his panels from a film and TV perspective. And we started that again this year because we applied for funding and we got rejected, as I mentioned before. So it's like, we're not going to wait. Like, let's make something happen. And so this year,
Mhm.
we've already gone to Brighton. We're looking to go to Manchester. And then
Amazing.
plotting for Bristol too.
Mhm.
And then we're also looking at going abroad. Our
Oh.
industry, I mean, our community, I should say, kind of spans wide. The industry spans globally as
Mhm.
well. So we've got talent in various different regions. So one of our partners that we work with, and we've been working with for the past 5 years from a commercial production standpoint, is a company called Such. And
Mhm.
within the partnership this year, what we're looking to do is go to, hopefully in Q1 or Q2 2026, head over to LA and start to build
Amazing.
connections there. Because for us,
Mhm.
if someone was to ask, like, what's the one liner? It's like essentially the Cusp is an authentic community for underrepresented creatives
Mhm.
that thrive not only locally and nationally, but globally. And so we're
Mhm.
slowly kind of planting seeds in order to achieve that.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, we've built the Cusp Hub. So the Cusp Hub is a new entity born out of the Cusp, a dedicated platform. We're calling it a creative hiring ecosystem that focuses on recruitment and education. And so um, there's going to be a suite of tools within that kind of ecosystem. And the first that we launched a couple of months ago, is our marketplace. And this is what I was mentioning before, where talent can go onto the platform, register for
Mhm.
completely free, and then employers can also register onto the platform for free and find talent. So you can use credits to unlock profiles, you can use credits to post jobs. And so that's the base of it. And then
Mhm.
another piece of the recruitment tool, or the recruitment pillar, I should say, another tool within that pillar is a projects tool. So this is like a projects
Mhm.
management tool. So if you're,
Okay.
say, I know you're a top tier producer, Kashif. If we're trying to build a team and you're tired of
Mhm.
sending emails to the same thread, or if people, say for example,
Mhm.
look to build a team and you keep on telling your friends, "Oh, do you know anyone?" You can create a page.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can create a dedicated page. They can send a link, and
Okay.
people can apply to different roles within your creative production,
Mhm.
and then you can filter through, connect with them, and then essentially kind of finalize your team in this one space.
Okay.
I need to create a video to explain how that works more, and this is another part of like me growing and evolving, and that whole introvert piece. I do not
Mhm.
like being on video, and I do
I know
not.
you don't. I
Yeah,
saw
I'd
a
say,
TikTok what they made you do the other day. I was like, oh, okay,
oh
Amos.
my days,
In
I'm
front of the
telling
camera.
you.
I was like, what?
It's crazy. It's crazy, Kashif. But it's one of those ones that, again, one thing that I've learned, it's not like back in the day where it's like if you whisper, they lean in. If you
Mhm.
shout, because everyone is screaming now, so you need to shout so
Mm.
people can know that you're around. So essentially,
Yeah.
that's another tool within that space. And then on the
Mhm.
education pillar, we're going to build in like a forum, so
Okay.
kind of similar to what we have in the Cusp and our membership, where talent can connect on a digital plane. You're going to have a forum within the platform, and then you're going to also get access to training. So social
Okay.
impact is like the root in
Mhm.
everything that we do. So there's something called Find Great, Do Good, which is a scheme that
Mhm.
we've built in where employers that pay
Mhm.
for an annual subscription to utilize the platform.
Okay.
Remember, talent don't pay
Mhm.
anything. A percentage of that goes into towards a fund, and then that
Okay.
fund is now
Mhm.
implemented in use to help provide discounts or subsidize training
Mhm.
opportunities. Like a great
Okay.
example, London Film School may do like a summer
Mhm.
course for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
It helps you to upskill. But if that course is like three and a half grand, who's got 3.5 grand in this economy? It's fair.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah,
us, it's being
exactly.
able to leverage that funds to then say, oh, great,
Okay.
you as an employer, not only are you
Uh-huh.
finding talent, but you're doing good. And
Uh-huh.
basically, that money will get used in order to help a talent that applies
Okay.
to hopefully
Uh-huh.
go on that course. And then the last
Uh-huh.
piece that we're adding to the suite of tools is essentially a career discovery tool, an AI career discovery tool. I actually gonna record a video regarding that, which I'll post on LinkedIn. But ultimately, it takes your CV and matches you with
Uh-huh.
jobs within the creative space. So um,
Oh,
it
okay.
will showcase to you, okay, great. I've read your CV. It seems that
Uh-huh.
within marketing, you could potentially be an account executive. You can be a media planner.
Oh,
It gives you a breakdown of the role. It also shows
oh,
where it's pulled out the information from, and it also
uh-huh.
shows you training that you can do in order to upskill yourself. So it gives you a percentage. So if you're like
Yeah, yeah,
85%
yeah.
to get to 90 to 95%,
Uh-huh.
do this training. And if you feel like, you know
Uh-huh.
what, I'm 85%, I'm good. Let me apply for a role. You can
Uh-huh.
apply for jobs and you can find jobs that are relevant to you in your
Okay.
region.
I love that. That's really, really good. I really, really like that. Especially like because I think there's so many people out there who don't know what they want to do and they're always trying
Mm,
to figure out what they do and they end some dead end job and they just like, I don't want to do
yeah,
this, but I don't know. That could pique their interest. I think that's really,
yeah.
really good. But
Awesome.
guys, if you like anything that Amos had just said, see, I told you the cusp is brilliant. So, and just to see them go from strength to strength is amazing. And the way they support creatives, like, I did a TV show concept film with Serafina Mattis. If you've been listening to my podcast for years, that's my like right hand. And reach out to Amos saying your next event, just think of us. And they literally curated the whole event for us and built that. So honestly, so grateful for the support that you always provide us as well. And honestly, guys, if you like what you've heard, follow the Cusp on Instagram. That's a Cusp with a K. And then check out their website, honestly, because it's great. So Amos, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Kashif.
It's been great speaking
Appreciate it.
to you. Thank you.
Likewise.
And thanks, guys, for listening. You can follow me all on my usual socials. You know them, there's a bunch of them. Stay tuned for the episodes coming soon.